Today's video is a bit of a motivational one, but it's also emotional as well. So stick around and I'm sure you'll enjoy this. Now let's rewind the clock. You're Sergio Perez. You've been racing in Formula 1 since 2011. You've also been racing for the same team since 2014. That team is Force India. But in 2018, the team owner, Mr. Vijay Mallya, is under investigation. So legal and financial problems start piling up. In particular, many people haven't been paid in the team. Now Sergio Perez knows this. He knows that if this continues, there will be no team left in Formula 1 and around 400 people would lose their job. So he steps up and he starts a legal proceeding against the team boss, Mr. Mallya. Now this sends the team into administration, as it was one of the only ways to save the team. Force India is then bought by a group of investors. The team starts to see a bit more stability. Okay, so now it's 2019. Sergio Perez signs a new contract with the newly rebranded Racing Point, and that keeps him on the grid until 2022. But in 2020, it's your second full season with Racing Point under new management. The Racing Point team is still a midfield team at best. They don't challenge for the wins, but for the points. However, there are rumors that a 4-time world champion could be joining your team. But now which of the two drivers would the team likely replace? Could it be you, Sergio Perez, who stuck with the team in difficult times? You protected the jobs of a lot of people and you just have excellent racecraft. Or could it be your teammate, who is a Formula 3 champion but also happens to be the son of the new team owner? Well, it was Perez. Perez knew that, and midway through the 2020 season, the team announced that they would be replacing Perez with Sebastian Vettel for the next season. Now Perez had no offers from other teams yet. He had been racing with one team for a long time and his options looked to be diminishing. He had never won a race or even set a pole position yet. He had 9 podium finishes scattered across his long, twisty career in Formula 1. And now to make matters worse, it's 2020. COVID was rapidly taking place all over the world and health was a top priority. Perez even contracted COVID and he was out for 2 race weeks while he recovered. The 2020 Formula 1 season was shorter than the previous years, with just 17 races instead of 21 races that were there in 2019. Okay, and that's when we come to the second last race of the year, Dakar in Bahrain. Perez was still without a team for next year and it looked like his Formula 1 dream was over. He set an impressive qualifying time and he qualified 5th, but on the very first lap of the race, disaster struck. He was catching up to the race leaders, but Leclerc locked up and bumped into him. Now luckily, Perez's car wasn't damaged, but he was dead last. He was 18th place at the end of the first lap. It was his second last race in Formula 1 and he had nothing to lose, so he just had the race of his life. Now by lap 15, he climbed from P18 to P11. The Dakar track is a track where power really matters, and that year's Racing Point had tons of power. By lap 20, he passed a Red Bull for P9 and there was no stopping Perez. There was a safety car in the race and Perez managed to get the move on quietly. He was soon third behind 2 Mercedes cars of George Russell and Valtteri Bottas. But then Mercedes called both their cars into the pits and they messed up their pit stops completely, sort of like Ferrari have been doing in 2022. The Mercedes cars fell down the order and it was Perez who was leading the race. But now the Mercedes were catching up and it looked like Perez wouldn't get his first victory. But the racing gods had other plans. The Mercedes of George Russell suffered a puncture and he fell down the order once again. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how after 190 race starts and in his 10th year of racing in Formula 1, Sergio Perez won his first ever F1 race. Look at how much it meant to him and how much it meant to the people at Racing Point. He was in tears on the radio and even told his engineer,
"Asegúrate que Checo está viendo la carrera, por favor."
Perez's hard work was rewarded. The 2020 season was his best until that year. He finished 4th in the championship behind Hamilton, Bottas and Verstappen. He finished 4th in a Racing Point. With his stunning season, he got a place at Red Bull where he currently is still racing, and he has one of the best cars on the grid. This story goes to show you that no matter how hard things get, things will work out, but you have to put in the effort. So thank you for watching that video by Fervent Motorsports. If you liked it, do remember to give us a thumbs up or even drop a comment below. And as always, stay tuned to Fervent Motorsports for all things motorsport related.